Hi there, I'm Allison from Move Smart and Boomerang, and I'm so happy to be offering you this little short time for you to get a little bit of movement, a little downtime, a little down regulation in what is often a very busy season. You will need a wall, you'll need some pillows or blankets or towels or bolster or cushions, some kind of soft bolstering items, a yoga strap or a scarf or a belt, and a pair of yoga tune-up balls or tennis balls or some other ball from the dollar store. And you're going to start just leaning up against a wall, legs a nice wide distance apart, and just start to shift your pelvis from side to side. We're trying to stay in a nice even plane here and start to get some length through the inner thigh on the one side and some little bit of opening on the outer hip. And we're just sliding back and forth. You don't need to do anything in particular with your upper body. We're just going to start getting a little juice going in the hip sockets. And then if it feels comfortable for you, you can hinge forward, keeping a little bit of lift to the base of your ribs so that you're not straining your back, and you can shift from side to side here. You can play a little bit with the position of your feet. If you had your feet turning a little bit out, maybe you now try turning them in. If your feet were pointing straight forward, maybe you turn them out. There's no right or wrong position. We're just looking for a little variety as you keep shifting your hips back and forth from side to side. And then we're going to come down onto the floor, and we're going to do a combination of release and stretch and activate for the inner thighs. So you're going to start with your yoga strap. Get your yoga strap quite small, quite snugly pulled together, or be prepared to tie your scarf or do up your belt so that you are really only 3 or 4 inches apart in terms of the positioning of your legs. And then if you want, you can pop something behind your head, a cushion, a blanket, a towel, a yoga strap, or a yoga block, a half dome, whatever works for you, so that you are totally relaxed in your upper body. You want to have a little bit of space for your neck to drape down into an empty space. If you know you're really tight in your shoulders, you might want to have a little bit of padding under your arms. We're looking to be completely supported and relaxed and comfortable in this position. You can make sure you have your butt under your butt so that you're not into kind of an artificial posterior tilt from the gluteal mass pushing you out of neutral. And you're just going to hang out here. As you stay in this position, you can think about breathing into the backs and sides of your ribs. Nice slow inhale through your nose. See if you can make it a silent inhale so that you're really getting that expansion internally, pulling the air into your system rather than an audible sniff through your nose. And then again, a silent exhale. Just letting the air come out, no particular effort or direction other than let the air exit your body. And take a couple more breaths like that, really being aware of the weight of your feet on the floor, the weight of your pelvis into the ground. Feel for weight through the backs of your ribs and your shoulder blades. Ease through your neck and weight through the back of your head. From there, you can take your feet, your knees out of the yoga strap, bring your feet together, and let your legs drop out to the side. And feel for what is your comfortable range where your ribs don't pop up off the floor, you're nice and stable through your torso. And for some people, just hanging out here is going to be completely fine. We want to avoid what a client of mine calls the Raggedy Ann range. So if you know when you go to your end range that you get a bit floppy, that's where you're going to want to use a little bit of bolstering. So whatever height feels appropriate to you, you don't want to go into a great big 9 out of 10 stretch. We're really looking for more of a 4 or a 5, right? So you can use a ball, you can use a bolster, you can use cushions. Just bring that leg up so that it's fully supported and feels like it can rest with no strain or stress either to your tissues or to your nervous system. And we're going to hang out with that for a couple of breaths. And this time we're going to add an arm motion. So reach your arms towards the ceiling, turn your palms to face the wall behind you, and keeping your forearms parallel, slide your arms back gently, keeping the base of your ribs down. So we're trying to avoid arms coming back and ribs also following. So it's almost like there's an opposite direction thing happening, that your arm is tracking back as your torso is dropping down. And you can exhale as you slide your arms back, and inhale as you float them back up. And exhale to reach your arms away from your torso, keeping your torso nice and heavy to the floor, and slide back up. And last one. Reach your arms back. Find that sense of external rotation right from the shoulder joint. When you come back up, ideally, your forearms are still parallel to each other. They haven't changed position. And then use your inner thigh muscles, and just your inner thigh muscles, to pull your legs back up to center. Remove your bolster. And we're going to do that actively a couple of times. So reach the legs out, trying to keep the pelvis, the spine, and the ribs totally stable. You will move onto the outside edges of your feet as you go. And then use the inner thigh muscles to pull back up. So that means your pelvis doesn't change position, your spine doesn't change position, and neither does your rib cage. Legs slide out to the side on the inhale. And then a gentle exhale as you pull back up. I forgot to mention that you might also want a ball. If you have a Yoga Tune-Up Gorgeous ball, that's great. Just a regular fitness ball, that works. If you don't have a ball, you can get one at the dollar store. If you don't have one of those, just a folded up cushion will do. Place the ball not between your knees, but between your thigh bones. Again, get your butt under your butt. Snuggle the base of the ribs down. You may or may not want something behind your head. If you take your head off and you feel any rib popping, then I would suggest, for the purposes of this particular series, that you put something back under your head. Feet nicely planted into the floor, and exhale and squeeze your legs in gently. So we're not going for an uber squeeze. You want to go only as much as you can go, again, without any of your other bony landmarks shifting, and release and squeeze. See if you can do this without triggering any without triggering your inner thighs, without triggering any hip flexor or quad action. So we're really trying to stay very isolated into your inner thighs specifically. And press and release. Press and release. 3 more. Press, keep your feet nicely planted. There's no shifting or rolling of your ball of your feet on the floor. And last one. Squeeze, release, bring your feet back together, and again, let your legs roll out to the side, keeping your butt under your butt and your torso nice and stable. And see if you feel like your range is maybe a little bit different this time. You might find that your ribs are more easily settled into the floor, that you have less strain, or maybe that you have more sense of active control of the joints at your end range, so that again, you're avoiding that kind of raggedy and floppy end range. And then you're going to pull all the way back up, and you're going to flip yourself around so that you are legs on the wall. Make sure you have yourself in a position where your pelvis is still level on the floor. You don't want to go to a place where your hamstrings are pulling you into a posterior tilt. This is the most fantastic camera angle ever, don't you think? Merry Christmas. This is me upside down. So we're going to start with just a little hamstring lengthening, letting the sit bones drape down towards the floor without cranking into your lower back, so your lower back is relaxed. And potentially, if this is possible for you, allowing for a gentle lumbar curve. So we're really trying to stay in neutral rather than pull into a posterior tilt. From there, slide your legs out to the sides to whatever is a useful non-Raggedy Ann range for you. If you're not sure where that is, let your legs go all the way to their kind of sloppy end point and pull up a couple of inches, unless you know that you are hypermobile and you should not be going to all the way to your end range. If you know that's a problem for you, then clearly disregard that and go to what you know is your sweet spot. And we're going to hang out here for a couple of breaths. Reaching your arms up towards the ceiling and slide them out, not all the way to the floor, but keeping a sense of strength and activation. You want to come to just a few inches above the floor, and right from your pectorals, pull your arms back up and slide out to the side and pull back up. 3, pull back up. 2, return your arms to center using your pecs to do so. Last one, come all the way up and wrap your arms all the way around. Give yourself a little hug, stretching out the space between your shoulder blades. Big breath into your ribs, opening up the sides of your ribs, and release. Open your arms. Cross again the other way. Wrap your hands around. Find that nice sense of inhale, opening into the rib cage. Exhale. Release your arms, and then again use your inner thigh muscles to pull your legs back up to center without moving your torso, which is harder to do than it sounds like it should be. Out to the side, active end range, inner thighs pull all the way back up into center. Bend your knees, do a little ninja roll off the wall, and then you're going to get yourself nicely seated onto the floor, or if you know that that's really tight for your hips, you could sit on a bolster or a cushion, whatever works better for you, and then lean back onto your hands and let your legs roll one leg at a time in towards center. We are allowing the pelvis and the spine to travel with you. You can even be kind of like relaxing into your arms and shoulders if that feels good to you. If that feels a bit too sloppy, you can really anchor yourself and press your hands down into the floor. I always slide when I do this, so I might end up getting closer and closer to the camera. Stay within what is a practical range for you. I'm very happy and comfortable bringing my legs all the way to the floor. If you feel like this is a better range for you, then that is exactly what you should be doing, right? Stay within your comfortable working range rather than pressing towards what it looks like someone else is doing or what you think you should be achieving. One more. And now we're going to keep the pelvis and the ribs stable, and you're moving just the leg and the hip socket. See how my range has diminished? Right? Because now I'm not sharing the movement out between multiple different joints. I'm really just moving my leg in my hip socket, and my hip socket is stable. So we'll do a couple more of those on each side. And then bring the legs all the way together. Again, if you are happy sitting in this position, bueno. If you're not, grab a bolster. It's more important that you be able to sit with an untucked pelvis and a happy, relaxed, stable back with your ribs stable and centered over top of your pelvis. Then you sit on the floor, but that you end up a little bit pulled into your lower back and posteriorly tilted, or that you have to force your ribs forward in order to compensate for any hip tension that you may have. So I am actually going to sit on the bolster because I'm more comfy like that. Feet all the way together, fall into the wall, and just take a little moment here. Allow your head and neck to sit comfortably on top of your neck. Think of your neck as being fully supported by the curves of your spine. Find space between your ribs and your pelvis, created by the dynamic relationship between your diaphragm, your transverse, your obliques, your rectus abdominis, your back erectors, your quadratus lumborum, and your pelvic floor, supporting the bony landmarks of your pelvis, your ribs, and your spine. Allow your inner thighs to lengthen, your pelvic floor to relax. Think of weight on your sit bones. Feel the outside edges of your feet on the floor. Allow the base of your skull to slide back towards the wall behind you. Let your head roll forward. Let your sternum soften. Your thoracic spine curves. And in this gently rounded position, like a candy cane, inhale into the back and sides of your ribs. And use the exhale to stack yourself back up from the mid-thoracic spine, keeping your lower back stable and quiet. Keeping your ribs placed over your pelvis. Float up on top of your sit bones, your low spine, your mid spine, your upper spine, shoulder blades stable, arms happy and supported by your legs. And then have a wonderful day or a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful holiday, whatever it is that you celebrate with your friends and family, whatever is true to your heart and your soul. I'm honored to be a part of your movement journey, your teaching journey, and we have exciting things coming for you next year. So all my love to you, and thank you for sharing this time with me.